Today I'm going to try something completely different on the channel. I'm going to do a little drive with me video. Anybody who likes and enjoys the walking tours will probably like this. I ended up buying the dash cam for my upcoming trip around Florida, and I want to test it out today by driving from South Point Drive and Collins Avenue all the way up to 88th Street. So basically I'm going to be taking A1A all the way up Miami Beach and comment on what I see along the way and see how this footage turns out. Let me know what you guys think about this type of video down in the comments, and I'll also post at the end how long it took me to do the drive and how many miles it was. All right, let's roll. This is actually going to be kind of fun for me too, because believe it or not, I've never actually done this. I mean, I have driven up Collins Avenue before, obviously, but never from like the beginning of Miami Beach down here all the way to the end. So let's see how it goes. Anybody that's seen the walking tours probably knows that this is the south of 5th neighborhood. So we just passed 2nd Street. And I'm curious to see how long this is going to take too, because of things like this. You know, there's somebody just blocking the road. I guess because they have a Lamborghini, they think they can just block the road. Okay, he's waiting for somebody to get in, all right? But still, man, you could pull over instead of just block the street, right? It's pretty inconsiderate. That's just the beginning, guys. I've already been playing with this dash cam for a few days, and I have some traffic recorded on here. Some crazy Miami traffic that I've been stuck in. So I'll be putting out a video on that real soon too. That's Big Pink over there to the right. You can see how crowded it is. It's absolutely insane right now. This guy in the Lambo in front of me is obviously lost. I never actually came down this part of Collins on my walking tour. So most of these little buildings here are residential, but you have a couple little hotels mixed in here too. And it can get a little crazy over there, like you see by Big Pink. You know, in general, the closer you get to the beach and the closer you get to Collins Avenue, the crazier it gets. And then the further west you go, down here in the south of 5th neighborhood, usually west of Washington, it's very quiet. So it's amazing how just a couple of blocks can make a huge difference. So I really want to know what you guys think about this type of video down in the comments. So definitely mention that after you've watched a little bit of it and let me know what you think. I think the video quality of the dash cam is okay. It's not the greatest. It's not the same quality that you're used to seeing when I record with my iPhone. But it gets the job done, and you know, because it's a dash cam, it's built for doing stuff like this. So the thing that's been pretty cool about it so far is that as soon as I plug it in, it starts recording automatically. And also, it has a very wide angle, so the field of vision is very good for seeing like both sides of the street and things like that. So I think it's going to be a very cool addition to the upcoming road trip to capture different parts of the trip. Especially if you don't think about recording it, this will just like record it automatically, so that's pretty cool. So I left South Point Drive and Collins Avenue at 1:06 p.m. It's already 1:12 p.m. now. My guess is this drive's probably going to take about 25 minutes, but let's see what it ends up being in the end. Which is pretty crazy, because I think it's only going to be like 6.5 miles, something like that. It's not even a very long drive, but you know, we're going through one of the most touristy parts of South Beach, and there's a ton of people crossing the road and all kinds of things like that happening. And on top of that, There's literally a stoplight at every intersection, and plus they have these pedestrian crossings, so you have to stop a lot when you're driving through this area. It wouldn't be uncommon to see somebody walking on the sidewalk faster than you can drive through this area. I think this is going to be pretty cool. If you guys end up liking this style of content, I can actually cover way more area than I ever could with the walking tours, because obviously it just takes a while to walk anywhere versus driving. And so I could start covering many more areas of Miami and things like that, like this. But I can still do a little bit of both, right? I don't need to keep it to just one or the other. It's April 16th right now, so spring break should be mostly over. And I was also waiting to do something like this until it was over, because I didn't want to come down here during that. It's just not worth it, you know. The level of stress and potential danger, you know, somebody damaging my car or getting in an accident, it's just not worth it, you know. But it looks like a little bit of spring break still happening down here, if you ask me. Seems like you still got some of that spring break crowd. I'm surprised. I thought it would be over by now. But it's definitely not as nuts as it was a few weeks ago. And I figured if I do more of these driving videos like this, I'll keep them kind of short like that. You know, I intentionally planned this route so it wouldn't take more than hopefully half an hour. So kind of like the walking tours, I try to keep them on the shorter side. I know not everybody wants to watch an hour-long video, but I think 20 or 30 minutes for a video like this is probably about right. Let me know what you guys think about that. This is like where they have a bunch of these little Art Deco buildings down here. As you can see on both sides of the street, these buildings are protected, so they're not going to be tearing these buildings down and putting something new there. And one thing the city's trying to do is turn this into a more historical district and try to shut down the party scene. And honestly, after how things have been going here, I'm all for that. I'm not sure how they're going to pull that off or make this area less attractive to partygoers, but we'll see. I guess if every bar is turned into some sort of museum, it's not going to be too exciting for anybody to come here on spring break. I don't know if that's the intention or not. Oh yeah, there's still definitely some parties going on. See guys crossing the street with some beers. The restaurant over there is totally packed. Yeah. The party's not over yet. You'll always see a ton of people down here lost like this. You know, you got Georgia and Mississippi here in front of us that don't know where to turn. I try to give them a break because they're tourists and they don't know the area. You know, if you're in a hurry and you got to go somewhere and you're going to be late for an appointment, then it can be stressful. But, you know, I'm just down here doing a driving with, you know, a drive video showing you guys the area, so I'm not in a huge hurry. Plus, part of the point of the video is to test out and see how long this drive will really take. And this is a Friday afternoon, and typically traffic on Fridays is pretty thick. Fridays is actually one of the worst days for traffic in Miami, and I tend to try to avoid actually going anywhere on Fridays, but I've been wanting to do this video, and now that I got everything all set to do it, I'm just doing it anyhow. Once we get past 15th or 16th streets, the party scene kind of will go away a little bit, and it will start returning a little bit to normal. But this whole area down here is really the hot area. This is where everybody comes for the spring break parties, the Memorial Day weekend parties, and every other holiday weekend party in between. That's why I try telling people that are moving here to Miami Beach that if you're like not into this kind of scene, to avoid this part of town as far as living. You know, don't move into one of these buildings that are right here on Collins or even Washington Avenue. You probably want to live a few blocks west of here, or at least north if you're going to be on Collins. Probably, you know, not even in South Beach anymore, I would say. Probably north of 23rd Street to kind of escape this. But if you're into this kind of thing, then this is your area, man. I mean, you can see how happening it is. There's people everywhere over here. You would have no clue that other places are shut down with the way things are going here. Everything's totally open, which I'm all for. I'm glad that Florida still has some freedom built into it, so that's pretty cool. People should be able to choose whether or not they want to do stuff. It's funny because a lot has changed in Miami since the 13 years I've been living here, but this little strip right here of Collins Avenue that we just drove through pretty much hasn't changed at all, and this party scene has been going on since I moved here. And obviously, you know, you have your certain times of the year or holidays that bring with it extra crowds like this. I just realized he was lost. It's pretty common to just kind of like go around people here like we just did. You see people doing stuff like that all the time on the road here. So like you see this girl in front of me riding the bike, that's totally allowed here in Miami Beach. You can even see the little sign right there that shows the bike and the road. So we're supposed to share the roads with the bikes here. But I will say that the bikes are supposed to follow the same rules as the cars, especially meaning they're supposed to stop at the stoplights and things like that, and they never do. They always just blow through the stoplights, and they don't actually follow the rules of the road. So every time I hear about somebody on the bicycle getting smashed by a car, I always think about those situations like, yeah, well, they probably weren't following the rules they're supposed to. You know, they're allowed to use the whole lane like that, but they're also supposed to stop at intersections, and so many times I see them just blow through them and they wonder why they get hit. I mean, you'd be expecting the same thing if you're driving in a car. If I just blew this intersection right now, I might get T-boned. It's kind of like common sense, right? Right here on the right is the Satai. I was here a few years ago for a friend's birthday. They have a really nice restaurant inside. Very elegant place, cool bar area. Wow, almost just crashed into that guy. I'm pretty sure you guys get a sense of how nutty it can be down here, driving around. I'm doing my best to try to just pay attention and be safe, though. Got a Lambo in front of us. Stop at the green light again. So right here at 23rd Street kind of is like the official / unofficial ending of South Beach. So once we go past 23rd Street like this is going to be considered then mid-beach. So from 23rd Street up to 63rd Street is what we call mid-beach here. It took almost 20 minutes just to get from South Point and Collins up to 23rd Street. Almost a block a minute. Now things should be going a little faster from here on out. There won't be nearly as much traffic. As you can see, the road is already opened up. But if you were driving down here during rush hour, then you could still end up with a lot of traffic. And I see another bottleneck coming up here too. We got a lane closed, so it's piling up a little bit. That's one thing I've definitely noticed here over the years, is that if there's any kind of merge going on like this, where just one lane is closed, or even if it's a cop car blocking the lane, it piles up traffic like you wouldn't believe. I'm pretty sure most people that drive here in Miami actually don't know how to merge. You're taught in driving school that's supposed to be one car goes, then the next car goes, one car goes, the next car goes. But here, everybody just thinks they need to be first. So it ends up taking way longer to get anywhere when it's like that. But this spot right here that we're in, this part of Mid Beach, is a really good spot to live if you want to be close to South Beach, but you don't want to live completely in all of the madness, because there's a lot of little residential buildings around here, and you're walking distance or a very short bike ride to South Beach. It's just right back down the street the way we came. Whatever this guy's doing on the scooter right there, I used to do that all the time. I used to weave in and out of the traffic, getting ahead since you can. But it is against the law here, and I've gotten pulled over for that a couple times back when I used to ride the scooter. I have an upcoming video that's going to be just about the traffic here, and as you guys can see, now I'm basically stuck in traffic. So this drive may end up even taking me longer than I thought. It's okay, but there's like this misconception that traffic in Miami and South Florida is not as bad as LA, and I beg to differ, okay? I've been to LA a few times, and here's the thing, guys. We're going to the end of Miami Beach. We're going to North Beach, okay? There's only one way to get up there from here besides Alton Road. You have Collins Avenue, which we're on right now, and you have Alton Road. That's it. There's no other alternative routes. So you literally have these two ways to go, and you know, this one looks to be pretty clogged up with construction work, and what you think is going to end up being maybe a 15-minute drive can end up being a 30 or 40-minute drive. But this area is actually pretty walkable. You know, you have a bunch of little restaurants around here. A lot of these hotels have restaurants in them as well. And there's a Starbucks right here. There's all kinds of little shops around here now. For a while, things were kind of dead down here, but ever since they revitalized a lot of these hotels and renovated, this area is definitely picking up. So this area of Collins is supposed to be one-way street. I mean, it is a one-way street, but it's supposed to be 3 lanes, and you can see we're down to 1 due to some road construction. I'm pretty sure all of this is fixing up the drainage here in Miami Beach and getting things set up to handle the amount of flooding that we get here, and that's why the road is under construction like this. But it's an ongoing project that's taking a very long time to complete, and obviously you can see this is what you have to deal with as a resident. I think this would be probably the biggest downside to moving to this part of Miami Beach right now, is just this 24/7 construction that's going on. And just imagine, it's not even a holiday weekend or anything like that. This is just a regular Friday afternoon. So if you're going to be living in this area, just be ready for that, especially if you need to commute somewhere. Coming up here on the right is the famous Fiena Hotel. This is kind of a newer place that was built recently. Got some celebrities that own some property there. It's a very hot spot in Miami. Very fancy. Got to be very rich to buy a unit here. You can see this one up here on the right. They're going to be totally renovating that place. It's closed down, but I was in that place a few times back when it was open, and man, let me tell you, that place was scary. I can't remember the name of that building, but everything was like super run down inside. They had this old rinky-dink elevator that seemed like it was just going to break down at any moment. I was just like scared to even take the elevator in this place. Now down in this area where we are right now, a little bit further north, this is 38th and Collins. You can actually get a place around here for a pretty good deal. And I'm talking about buying. You know, you can buy a 2-bedroom condo around here for less than $400,000 in some of these smaller buildings, which is an excellent deal given the location. Oh yeah, anybody know Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank? Kevin O'Leary? I'm sure most of you know who he is. He lives in that building right over here to the right, the Mosaic. I know for sure because I watched his videos on YouTube, and I know he lives there. You can tell by the view from his condo and out by the beach. And I saw one day he did a clip down here on the outside of the building. That's Mr. Wonderful's place. Got the Confidant here, another famous hotel down here. This area you have a lot of hotels. It's even the hotel I used to work at when I first got down here, the Best Western up here on the right hand side. That was my first job here in Miami Beach. I used to ride my bike down here every day for work instead of drive my Camaro. Shout out to Tony. I know Tony moved right over here. Tony from Maryland. I can see this girl up here on the bike. She's like trying to follow the rules of the road on the bike. But let's see if she stops at the stoplight if it's a red light up here. Okay, it's a red light. But she's in the right-hand lane, so maybe she's gonna make a right anyways. I don't blame her. I'm gonna do the same. Yeah, like this you're allowed to do, right? Anybody can make a right from here. So right now we're passing the Fontainebleau Hotel, arguably probably the most famous hotel in Miami Beach. I always like watching that old James Bond movie, Goldfinger, because right at the beginning of the movie, they have a scene with Bond and Goldfinger right here at this hotel, and it looks so different back then. But man, those were like the days. Those were like the golden days of Miami Beach. You could tell that things were just so elegant back then. So now you see we're driving down Collins. We got the Intracoastal on the left, and we got a bunch of buildings on Collins Avenue on the right. That's where I live. I live in the right side of Collins Avenue, right on the beach like that. And pretty much all these buildings going forward, these are all residential. And if you want to live in this area of Mid-Beach, the advantage is you can be on the water for a pretty decent price, and the downside is that there's not really much walking distance in this neighborhood. So as you can see, it's just one building after another here, and then on the left-hand side there's like some marinas and the water, and that's it. Some of these buildings, like the Seacoast on the right, and let me think which other ones. Oh yeah, the Carriage House coming up on the right. They have like little convenience stores and restaurants inside the building. But, you know, even though they have those little shops and things like that, you're still kind of just limited to that unless you want to jump in the car and, you know, go to the store or a different restaurant. Versus if you live in South Beach, where we just came from, you can just walk there or have a short bike ride. And it'll be the same thing in North Beach, which you guys will see once we get up there. Turned out to be a beautiful day to do this drive. I'm riding with the driver's window open. I got the sunroof open. Just a little bit of air conditioning going so it doesn't get too hot. It's gorgeous. So all these buildings you're seeing, these are all residential buildings. None of these spots right here are hotels. Right there on the right is that brand new building, 57 Ocean, they're building. There used to be a different building there, and they had to demolish it, and I think it was a year or two already now, but they were supposed to tear it down little by little, and I think the developer had other plans, and they ended up using dynamite and collapsing the whole place, and they weren't supposed to do that, and some guy got killed, one of the construction workers, when they did it. And it made like a giant mess here in Miami. But you know what? I think that's the best way to take down one of these old buildings. You know, I always say that they should just demolish the ones that are too far gone instead of try to save them. That's what Vegas does. They just blow up those old buildings and put a new one there. Some of these buildings could definitely be blown up, in my opinion. Not terrorist-wise, but you know what I'm saying. So now we're in North Beach. I almost forgot to mention that. The intersection we just crossed is 63rd. And these are residential buildings here too. There's a couple hotels coming into the area here. But you'll see pretty soon, once we get past 65th Street, that this area now becomes pretty walkable again, a lot like South Beach. And that's one thing I've always loved about living in this neighborhood, that we have the walkability aspect that they have in South Beach without the craziness. You're going to see that there's not some crazy party going on the street here. It's nothing like down there. So you got a bunch of shops right here on the left. There's a couple hotels right here, and then some more restaurants and Walgreens up here. Right on the right used to be the Deauville Hotel. It's now been closed for like 4 years basically. We had a fire in there in one of the elevators 4 years ago, and the city shut the place down. And in order for them to reopen, they had to bring everything else up to code. And long story short, there was too many problems with the building, and they're still closed now 4 years later. And the place is becoming dilapidated and very unsafe. I don't think they can actually save this building at all. You got people breaking in there all the time. There's homeless living there. All kinds of crazy stuff happening. It's also where I used to work back in the day. Norman's right here on the left. Got a bunch of more little shops and restaurants here on the left. Publix coming up. Very convenient area. And you can tell just by seeing the difference in the street here that it's nothing like South Beach as far as the crowds go or even the traffic. And that just continues to be the case the further north you go in Miami Beach. More shops and restaurants here on the left. I used to live in both of these buildings here on the right a long time ago. I've lived in this neighborhood ever since I moved to Miami, and I've never wanted to leave. South Beach is a little too crazy for me, and for a long time, even now I guess, South Beach has always been more expensive to live in, but a few years ago, it actually was cheaper to live in South Beach than up here for a while. Now I think it's kind of breaking even again. So it's really a matter of lifestyle choice, I think, whether you want to be down there or not. More shops and restaurants up here. You see, all this is walking distance. It's all within a few blocks. And then literally right to the right is the beach. And this area is supposed to be going through some revitalization soon as well. It's something that was voted on years ago, but nothing's actually happened yet. So now, this is the part of North Beach that we're getting into that is definitely less walkable, because similar to Mid Beach, up this way, there's pretty much nothing but residential buildings up here. So If you live up here, it's cheaper than living back a few blocks the way we just came from. But the downside is you're gonna have to hop in the car or the bike or the trolley, something here to get you around, because this part of the neighborhood is not nearly as convenient. But it is nice to have the North Shore Open Space Park right over here to the right. I've shot some videos over there in the past. I like shooting videos there, and it's the biggest park in Miami Beach. And straight ahead where you see that big new building, that pretty much marks the end of Miami Beach. So Miami Beach ends at 88th Street and Surfside begins. So we're almost there. We just got a few more blocks to go. Showing on my phone the audio recording I'm doing. It's been 35 minutes already, and we're not even done yet. Looks like I was a little bit off on my guess on how long this was going to take. So you see this sign coming up here? It says "Welcome to Surfside," right here on the left. So this is officially Surfside. I never actually know if it begins at 88th Street or 87th Street, but I'm pretty sure Surfside officially begins, well, maybe not, because this building here on the right, Champlain Towers, that's technically Surfside. So I guess Surfside begins at 87th Street, and that's why they have that sign there. All right, we did it. We made it through the first Drive With Me video. And you can see right behind me is North Beach Oceanfront Park. And let me know what you guys thought about this kind of video. It took about 36 minutes to do the drive, so it was quite a bit longer than I expected. And I'll put up all of the driving info right here on the screen. And if you guys want to check out another video from me, go ahead and check it out right over here. And I'll see you guys over there.